Before he was a legend, before the name Alexander echoed through centuries, he was just a boy from Macedonia. But by the time he was 32, he'd conquered more of the known world than anyone in history. No modern map has ever seen one man do what he did. He was a king, a warrior, a genius, a god to some. This is the story of Alexander the Great, and how he bent the world to his will. Born in 356 BCE in Pella, Macedonia, Alexander was the son of King Philip II, a ruthless, brilliant military strategist, and Queen Olympias, who told her son from a young age that he was descended from Achilles and Hercules, and Alexander believed it. He was tutored by Aristotle himself, the greatest philosopher of the time, who taught him logic, ethics, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy. Aristotle also instilled in Alexander a love of learning, reason, and ambition, something that never left him. But Alexander wasn't just a thinker. From childhood, he showed unnatural courage, taming a wild horse named Bucephalus when no adult dared approach it. That horse would ride with him into nearly every battle until its death, and would later be honored with a city named after it. At just 16, Alexander acted as regent while his father campaigned, and during that time, he put down a revolt and founded his first city, Alexandropolis. He wasn't just a prince, he was becoming a leader. When Alexander was 20, King Philip was assassinated, some say with Queen Olympias' involvement. And with that, the crown passed to him. Most young kings spend years learning. Alexander didn't have years. Greece was fractured, and enemies saw an opportunity. Alexander crushed rebellions instantly. In Thebes, he destroyed the entire city and left only temples and a few houses standing as a warning. Greece got the message. This wasn't just a boy on a throne. This was a storm. With Greece secured, Alexander turned to his father's dream, to conquer the Persian Empire, the richest, most powerful empire in the world. And Alexander didn't just want to take Persia. He wanted to unite East and West. In 334 BCE, he crossed the Hellespont into Asia Minor with 40,000 troops. First stop, the Battle of Granicus. He almost died in that battle, saved only by his general Clitus. But the victory was total. One by one, cities surrendered. Others resisted and were crushed. Next came the Battle of Issus in 333 BCE. The Persian king, Darius III, brought a force that outnumbered Alexander's. But Alexander struck like lightning. Personal, fearless, brilliant. Darius fled. Alexander took his family captive, but treated them with royal dignity, gaining not just territory, but loyalty. Then came one of the greatest engineering feats in ancient warfare, the Siege of Tyre. The island city refused to surrender, so Alexander built a causeway over half a mile long to reach it. After 7 months, he took the city, a message to all who thought they could outlast him. He moved through Egypt and was welcomed as a liberator. There he founded Alexandria, a city that would become a beacon of science, trade, and culture. In the Egyptian desert, he visited the oracle at Siwa Oasis, where he was declared the son of Zeus Ammon, cementing his belief in his divine mission. In 331 BCE, Alexander met Darius again, this time at the Battle of Gaugamela. Against overwhelming odds, Alexander's army of about 47,000 faced nearly 250,000 Persians. With flawless tactics, Alexander split the Persian lines and nearly killed Darius again. Once more, Darius fled, but this time there was no comeback. Alexander marched through Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the heart of Persia. The unimaginable had happened. The Persian Empire was his. At Persepolis, he allowed his troops to plunder the city, but later regretted it. In a drunken moment, the palace was set on fire, possibly by Alexander's orders, or as a symbolic act of revenge for the Persian burning of Athens a century earlier. Either way, the heart of Persia was in ruins. But Alexander wasn't done. He pursued Darius deep into the east, only to find him murdered by his own men. Furious, Alexander executed the traitors. He didn't just want victory, he wanted legacy, and perhaps justice. In a symbolic gesture, he married a Persian noblewoman named Roxana and began adopting Persian customs, wearing their dress and demanding proskynesis, a gesture of respect. Many Greeks hated this, but Alexander wasn't just a Macedonian king anymore. He saw himself as a world ruler. Alexander pushed further east than any Western ruler ever had, through the mountains of Afghanistan, where resistance was brutal, and into modern-day Pakistan and India. In 326 BCE, at the Battle of the Hydaspes River, He faced King Porus, a massive army, and war elephants. The battle was fierce and bloody, fought during a monsoon. But Alexander, as always, adapted and won. Impressed by Porus's courage, he didn't execute him. He returned the king's lands and made him an ally. By now, Alexander had adopted more than military tactics. He created a fusion of cultures, encouraging intermarriage between Macedonians and Persians, and blending Greek and Eastern customs. It was his vision of a united world. But his men had had enough. They'd been marching for 8 years. They were tired, homesick, and afraid of what lay ahead. Near the Bees River, they refused to go any further. Alexander tried to rally them. He isolated himself in his tent for days, but finally he gave in. Alexander wept, not out of anger, but because there were no more worlds to conquer. Reluctantly, he turned back. On the journey home, Alexander's army suffered starvation, heat, and brutal desert crossings in the Gedrosian desert. Thousands died. But even then, Alexander continued founding cities, organizing governments, and spreading Hellenistic culture. He returned to Babylon, where he began planning his next grand campaign, the conquest of Arabia. But it would never happen. In 323 BCE, just a month before his 33rd birthday, Alexander fell ill in Babylon. Fever, pain, paralysis. Some say it was poison. Others say malaria or typhoid. Some modern theories suggest Guillain-Barré syndrome. Whatever it was, it killed the greatest conqueror the world had ever seen. With no named heir, his generals, the Diadochi, tore the empire apart. Each claimed a piece. A single empire became many warring kingdoms. But the legend of Alexander only grew. In just 12 years, Alexander had conquered over 2 million square miles, an empire stretching from Greece to India. Over 70 cities bear his name. He spread Greek culture, science, language, and philosophy across 3 continents, launching the Hellenistic age. He changed warfare, governance, and culture. The fusion of East and West he envisioned would inspire centuries of leaders, philosophers, and empires. Julius Caesar wept when he saw Alexander's statue, lamenting that he had done so little by comparison. Napoleon studied him. So did military geniuses, tyrants, poets, and presidents. He died young, but Alexander the Great lives on, not just in history books, but in every story of ambition, courage, and power. Hit that like and subscribe button for more.